Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to turbocharge your network with an epic website. So it's Dave DeBow here, and today we're going to be talking about the power of having an investor-focused website when it comes to raising capital, attracting joint venture partners, and scaling your real estate investing business. So we're going to take a look at what should you be thinking about when it comes to an investor website? Should it just be part of your other real estate websites? How should you be looking at personal branding? What should be the name of your website? What should you have included on your website? As well as what should we be thinking about when it comes to search engine optimization and getting ranked on Google? So stay tuned for that. All right, these days having an investor-focused website is absolutely vital for your success for raising private capital. Here's why. A lot of people think that, you know what, I can just add on a little tab onto my iBuyHouses website or my property management website or whatever kind of website you got set up for your standard real estate business. And I think that's a big mistake. Why? Because typically you're going after completely different markets, right? So for example, back in the day, I had a rent-to-own real estate investing business. So I had a website that was really focused on ideal tenant buyers. That was the whole purpose of the website. And I knew that the way I was going to communicate with that target market is completely different than the way I communicate with investor prospects. So instead of trying to hodgepodge two websites together, I created two completely separate websites. One for my real estate investing business, one for my capital raising side of things. I'm going to highly recommend that you do the same thing. Now, when it comes to branding, back in the day I made a big mistake. I thought, hey, you know what, I'm kind of, as a capital raiser, I guess I'm kind of competing with the big boys and girls like the big banks and the finance companies and the financial planners and whatnot. So I thought I needed to have a very corporate sounding website. So I came up with the Investment Alliance, and I thought that sounded really cool. But at the end of the day, nobody cares about the Investment Alliance. Nobody's going to remember the Investment Alliance because I'm not at the stage of Nike or Amazon or any of these huge brands that you're going to have that kind of brand recognition. And what was pointed out to me was a good friend of mine, Ken, who had experience, a lot more experience in real estate, a lot more experience raising capital. He said, you know what, Dave, at the end of the day, people are investing in you. The property is just really the collateral for that investment. And that was the light bulb moment that kind of went off. So I said, you know what, forget about this whole professional sounding website name. What's the easiest thing that my connections, my core group of investor prospects are most likely to remember? And that is my name. So here's what I'm going to recommend for you and your investor-focused website. Keep it tied around your personal name. Like if you have yourname.com, that would be ideal. If that's not available, or if your name's very difficult to remember or spell or that sort of thing, then you can do some sort of a play on your name. If you've got a nickname, it could be, you know, John Smith Properties type thing, or it could be John Smith Investments, it could be John Smith Homes, something like that. So you get the idea. You want to tie it in with your name. That way, if you've got it, somebody's getting an email from you and says john@johnsmithhomes.com, they know exactly who that's coming from. So there's a big tip number one, is make sure that your URL, your www name, is connected with your name wherever possible. Okay, now let's take a look at what you want to have on your investor-focused website. So just the basic stuff. I'm going to suggest that you keep it super simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Don't make it too flashy. You do want it to look professional, but you don't want it to be distracting. You want to make sure that it is easily navigatable, especially on a cell phone, because that's how over 75% of people are going to be looking at your website. So it's got to be mobile friendly. And I'm going to recommend just having several tabs on your website. So a home page, a news page, which we'll talk about in a second, an About Us page, an investment page, a properties page, these kind of things, a Contact Us page. And then each page, I highly recommend that you include a personal video. And my website guy pointed out a stat to me years ago that showed that investor websites with videos on them get 400% more interaction than the same information just in written form. And we can see that all the time. I mean, heck, you're on YouTube watching this right now. Everybody likes videos. Everybody prefers videos over written text. So make sure that you've got both, but that you've got videos on every single one of your pages. And don't worry about the videos being super slick and overly produced. Make sure they're good, they're crisp, they look good, but we want them to be real. We want people to sense and connect with the real you, not the super polished version of yourself. Does that make sense? So videos on all the pages. Another big tip for you. Have one of those pages be your news page. And by news, I mean that's where your marketing materials are going to show up. So for example, an electronic newsletter, video logs, blog posts, all of those go up in the news section. And now that turns your investor website into your online marketing hub. Now everything that you send out to your investor prospects brings them back to your website, so they check out the marketing materials and hopefully they poke around the website and click on the big Contact Us button and book a call. Does that make sense? So make sure that you've got that integrated as well. Next thing you want to do is make sure that you integrate your website with a professional email address. So for example, if it's John Smith Properties, then you want to have John at John Smith Properties as your email address. That ties everything in together nicely. You want to connect your website with your email autoresponder system or your CRM system, whatever you're using to communicate with people, make sure that that's all connected. You want to have some sort of an opt-in form on your website, so if people refer other folks to you, there's a way for them to opt into your list. And you want to make sure that you've got an online calendar on your website. This is just going to simplify your life so much better, because when you tell people to book a call, then you show them how to do it. Just click on the calendar and book that call. It simplifies things so much for you and for them. It avoids phone tag. Plus, that pops up automatically on your Google Calendar or your iCalendar, whatever you're using, and you know exactly when you got an investor meeting. So there you go. There are the big picture overview of investor websites. Now, when it comes to Google ranking and SEO, here's what I'm going to recommend. I'm going to recommend that you don't worry about that at all. Do not be concerned about SEO. Do not be concerned about ranking on Google. You might be saying, well, Dave, why? I'm trying to raise capital. Well, you got to remember what we are doing, especially at the beginning stages of raising capital, is we are laser focusing on our existing connections. So if you remember from our previous video, and I'll try to remember to put up the link up above, we talk about our ideal investor prospects are people that we have that pre-existing relationship with. The purpose of this website is to communicate with that group. We're not trying to bring on a bunch of strangers. We want to stay under the radar. We want to stay compliant with the securities, right? So that means we don't want to blow this up with SEO and Google ranking. Does that make sense? All right, so there you go. There's the big picture overview of having your own investor-focused website. If you like the idea of that, if you like more tips and tricks and strategies and ideas, go ahead, grab a copy of my book, Money Partner Formula. You can get it at investorattractionbook.com. I think we've got some examples of websites in here so you can kind of see what they look like, plus the entire process of attracting investors instead of chasing after them. The entire way of raising your first 6 figures in a matter of weeks and even 7 figures in a matter of months with a proven process. So go ahead, check that out, or click on the link in the description below.